Back on the Boulevard, Wednesday, June 4th, as always, here to prove to you there is no such thing as football season. Welcome in to the third Annual Freshie Awards, our 2025 UFL Postseason Honors Special, presented by the Believe Network, alongside TPG. I'm your host, Matty Fresh. It's no secret that the playoffs have completely turned us against each other. However, out of respect for this prestigious annual ceremony, I promise to remain professional, and I expect you to do the same, TPG.
Yeah, Matt. Well, this is a big show for me because if you remember last year, this was the episode where I made my live debut. So, I came out to Pennsylvania. You showed me some great hospitality, but I was nervous as hell. Nervous as hell going out there. I mean, I've never done anything live before, so that was definitely a new thing for me that I've experienced. But I think as the season went on this year, like obviously we got better. And you know what? I just want to before I go at your neck this week, I just want to say thanks for letting me be on the show. I appreciate you having me on, and it's been an absolutely awesome season. So for the people listening out there, I just want to preface this episode by saying tonight's the appetizer, right? Tomorrow, with playoff preview, that's the full 5-course meal right there. And then next week we're gonna dip into the dessert. So there is no better time to be a part of the Boulevard than right now.
Yeah, tomorrow night the gloves are coming off, buddy. Save me the pleasantries. It's gonna get ugly. If everybody out there wanted a show rivalry, you got one. This will be the best UFL content you can get anywhere this week. We got a couple big-time guests joining us for that preview as we count down the days to the most highly anticipated game in spring football history. Finally, it's Defenders and Battlehawks in the playoffs, where it belongs, and I can say with full confidence that tomorrow night will probably be the best show we ever had, so don't miss it. Tonight, however, it's all about the reflection. We got 18 categories to celebrate the coaches, the players, the performances, the moments that shaped the identity of UFL 2025. And we're going to begin with a trio of box score ballers who put up nothing but numbers and really made the end zone their second homes this year. This is Offensive Player of the Year. First up, Cornell Powell, snubbed from the All-UFL team after leading the league in touchdowns in just his first spring season. The fifth-year pro out of Clemson not only scored 7 touchdowns in 9 games, but he came through clutch to ice the game Week 3 against St. Louis. And Cornell Powell, our first nominee. Next up, his Clemson counterpart, Deon Cain, the 8th-year pro, has always been a deep ball demon, but that was on full display this year. Regardless who was throwing it to him, first in average yards per catch, second in touchdowns, and third in yards, and he played in just 9 games. And of course, Jordan Ta'amu, 7th-year pro out of Ole Miss. You think about historic spring football seasons, he belongs in the conversation for maybe the best ever. Threw for 270 yards a game before resting the final 2. But what really stands out, 20 total touchdowns. He even caught one. JT, an absolute menace in this offense. Congratulations to our nominees from DC and Birmingham. And the Freshie Award for Offensive Player of the Year goes to Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback for the DC Defenders. 2,155 passing yards, 17 touchdowns against just 4 picks to lead his team back to the playoffs. Congratulations to JT and his quarterback coach, Shannon Harris.
From video game scrambles to acrobatic catches and flat-out speed that leaves the defenders in the dust, this is Game Breaker. First up, Bryce Perkins, and what a year this dude has had. Accurate throwing the football and elusive running abilities have given the opposing defenses problems all year long. And this guy is like 04 Mike Vick. It is simply unfair. Next up, Deon raising canes. And as you once said, Matty Fresh, it is all you can eat for quarterbacks when this guy is running by defensive backs. Kane has the big play ability to go over to the top and give defensive coordinators headaches week in and week out. And finally, the DC speedster, Chris Rowland, another friend of the show who is also a target machine featured in the DC passing attack. Chris has proven that no angle is a good angle when trying to bring him down, and you will most likely end up with a mouthful of turf when you try to tackle this guy. Congratulations to our nominees from Michigan, Birmingham, and DC. And the Freshie Award for Game Breaker goes to Bryce Perkins, quarterback, Michigan Panthers. Congratulations to Bryce on a great season and an all UFL selection earlier this week. Bryce finishes the season with 1,300 passing yards, 9 passing touchdowns, while also adding 5 scores on the ground, and is a chance this weekend to knock off the reigning champs.
Thank you, TPG. Our next honor, all about the theatrics, the art of the sometimes one-handed spectacle that is Catch of the Year. Our nominees, how about the big gun? Gunnar Britton, week 7 against San Antonio, reached the bear paw up there and came down with it through contact. A play that won DC a game they desperately needed, and no shot I was passing up the opportunity to put a hog molly in this category. Next up, it's Tyler Vaughns. Week 8 in Audi Field against DC, climbs the ladder, shows off the hops and the hands, sticks the landing, unreal grab for a touchdown, and the secret, ballet classes growing up. Don't knock it till you try it, people. And we can't forget Cade Johnson, week 9 against Michigan. Just surgical concentration to snag this. Did take off running with it, but they ruled him down. It doesn't take away from the difficulty level here on this bobble. So congratulations to our nominees from DC, Arlington, and Birmingham. And the Freshie Award for Catch of the Year goes to Tyler Vaughns, wide receiver from the Arlington Renegades, 5th-year pro out of USC. This one belonged number 1 in the Sports Center top 10. So congratulations to Tyler and his wide receiver coach, Chuck Long.
You know, I'm actually surprised you didn't give it a Gunner right there.
It was hard.
I'm happy you did the right thing and gave it to our boy T-Bonds. He's had a great season. So, all right, my next award to give out. Performances like these make DFS degenerates kick themselves when they don't have you in your lineup. This is Offensive Performance of the Year. First up, Bryce Perkins with a performance of a lifetime back in week 6 against Matty Fresh's defenders. Bryce finished the day with 2 passing touchdowns and 1 on the ground in a 38-14 drubbing of DC, and had Twitter popping off about his highlight reel plays he was making. Next, we have Tyler Vaughn's week 8 performance against DC, where we saw him go for 2 touchdowns, with one of those being a one-handed web gem of a catch. This performance propelled Vaughn's to an all UFL selection. And finally, Jacob Saylor's week 8 performance against Birmingham, who many were calling the best run defensive in the league heading into that week. We saw Sailors go for 118 yards and a touchdown in this late season instant classic, resulting in a 1-point win for the hometown Battlehawks. Congratulations to our nominees from Michigan, Arlington, and St. Louis. The Freshie Award for Offensive Performance of the Year goes to Bryce Perkins, quarterback, Michigan Panthers. You know, Matt, that week 6 performance was one to remember. And you know, it's actually really funny how our first 2 nominees were performances against the DC defense, because that should just go to show you folks that this defense is simply just not that good.
And we'll leave it at that. Thank you, TPG. Well, sticking with the offense, it's time to highlight some names that you're bound to see in NFL camps this summer. This is Offensive Most NFL Ready. First up, Cornell Powell. His second nomination of the night fits this category perfectly. Former 5th-round pick of the Chiefs took his first ever spring season and ran with it, becoming an absolute weapon out wide, running clean routes at every level and dominating defensive backs. Next up, Deon Cain, just racking up the nominations tonight. There's no covering this guy. He's going to torch you in man. He'll find the hole in your zone and run to it. We've seen the go routes, the slants, everything in between. He played with, seemed like 5 different quarterbacks. It didn't matter. He belongs on an NFL roster. And lastly, Deion Jackson, 5th-year pro out of Duke, started off the year as RB2, but it became evident as the season went on. He was a playmaker, another DC defender playing in his first spring season, one of 2 UFL running backs who averaged more than 5 yards a carry. Congratulations to our nominees from DC and Birmingham. The Freshie Award for Offensive Most NFL Ready goes to Deon Cain, wide receiver for the Birmingham Stallions, top 3 in the UFL in yards per catch, and touchdowns. Also welcomed another son into the world during the season. So congratulations to Dion and his receivers coach, Mike Jones.
Kind of like we talked before, Matt, off air, you could definitely see his game translating in the NFL, playing with all these different quarterbacks this year. Really putting some great stuff on film for NFL scouts to see. So moving on to the next award. These are the players who have made opposing offenses scheme for them all season long. This is Defensive Player of the Year. First up, former XFL Defensive Player of the Year and all UFL selection, Pita Tamupenu. This Battlehawks edge rusher led the league in sacks with 7.5, but made his money forcing fumbles and contributing to his team's turnover margin. Next up, we have DeAndre Baker. This lockdown corner has put the clamps down on some of the best receivers in the league all year long and had quarterbacks scared to try him. Baker finishes the year with 2 interceptions, with the biggest one coming in Week 8 against the Renegades to clinch a playoff berth. And finally, the man down in Texas, Ajane Harris. No defensive player was responsible for forcing more turnovers this season than Harris, recording 3 interceptions and a forced fumble on the season. Mr. No-Fly Zone also led the league in PBUs with 12. Congratulations to our nominees from St. Louis, DC, and Arlington. The Freshie Award for Defensive Player of the Year goes to Pita Tamupenu, edge rusher, St. Louis Battlehawks. Congratulations, Pita, on an amazing season, terrorizing offensive tackles all season long, and has the opportunity this weekend to bury Tiamu in the dirt, as he'll be going up against a backup tackle, Matty Fresh. I don't think you expected me to start the shit talk tonight, but it's already begun.
Maybe. We'll see. Mason Brooks was in a boot. He might play. He might tough it out and play. We'll see. Thanks, DPG, for that one. As we transition into the defensive honors, time to spotlight a couple guys that we expect to get called up to the league this summer. This is Defensive Most NFL Ready. We start with DeAndre Baker, 7th-year prod at Georgia, 2 years in Springball with DC, 2 selections to the All-UFL team. Grabbed another 2 picks this season. We remember the one versus Arlington in such a clutch moment. Former first-round draft pick of the Giants has proven he has the skill to make an NFL comeback and fulfill his potential. Next up, Jaden Price, 2nd-year pro out of North Dakota State. We were fortunate enough to have him on the Boulevard earlier this year. He was Arlington's top cover corner. Quarterbacks hardly ever threw his way. He didn't have that many numbers, but was one of the league's best defenders, and he contributed as a return man as well, only making him more and more versatile as an NFL prospect. And Bradley Anai, 5th-year pro out of Utah, stepped in and became the next in a long history of Stallions pass rushers to go to the NFL. We expect to see him at the next level. 4 sacks in just 8 games. Former 5th-round draft pick of the Cowboys, looks to get back to the league this summer. Congratulations to our nominees from DC, Arlington, and Birmingham. And the Freshie Award for Defensive Most NFL Ready goes to Jaden Price, cornerback for the Arlington Renegades. Someone we could see contributing immediately in the NFL and might be a one and done in Springball with his level of talent. Congratulations to Jaden and his DB coach, Marvin Sanders.
So happy that we got the chance to have him on the show this year and talk with him, and absolutely got to give this guy an award. Love watching this guy play. So moving on. When I hear the pads pop, it fires me up, and if it doesn't fire up you, your wood's wet, baby. This is Hit of the Year. First up, Armani Marsh's forced fumble in Week 6. Armani knocked the Dresser win out of the Memphis quarterback, causing him to lose the football, which was picked up by a fellow Roughnecks defender and was taken back to the house for 6. Next up, we have Taco Charlton's blindside hit on Duggan back in Week 6. Fresh off the streets, Charlton came into this game with a point to prove that he does indeed belong in this league after delivering a ferocious hit to the Battlehawks quarterback, forcing him to lose the ball and setting up his offense inside their own 10-yard line. And finally, Isaiah Johnson's I take the top off, I'm dripping like hot sauce, hit on Blake Jackson, which sent his helmet absolutely flying. And even Jackson knew it was a good pop, going in for a dap up after the play. Congratulations to our nominees from Houston, Arlington, and DC. The Freshie Award for Hit of the Year goes to Armani Marsh, defensive back, Houston Roughnecks. This hit was very reminiscent. I know we talked about this on a show, but this hit was very reminiscent of that viral hit back in the AAF. So it was a no-brainer that this one won our approval for hit of the year.
Thank you, TPG. Our next accolade honors even more defensive stars who flipped the game on its head with their playmaking ability. This is Defensive Performance of the Year. First up, Travis Feeney, another friend of the show, went bonkers Week 8 in St. Louis's 29-28 win over Birmingham, winning Defensive Player of the Week with 2 forced fumbles, including one that iced the game. The 10th-year pro out of Washington told us it was his first Player of the Week award since the Pac-12 days. Next up, Tay Crowder, 5th-year pro out of Georgia, first in UFL history to get not 1 but 2 pick sixes in Week 10's drubbing of Memphis. And the return on the second one was a thing of beauty, faking the pitch to clear a path to pay dirt. Fun fact, he was 2020's Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft. And DJ Miller, back in Week 2 against Birmingham, the second-year pro out of Kent State, had 2 picks, becoming a ball magnet, and manning up on Jordan Thomas, who's one of the biggest and strongest pass catchers in the league. The young Miller won Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts and will try to replicate his success against the Stallions from Week 2 into the playoffs. Congratulations to our nominees from St. Louis, Birmingham, and Michigan. And the Freshie Award for Defensive Player of the Year goes to Tay Crowder, linebacker for the Birmingham Stallions. Listen, anytime you score twice as a linebacker, you're a lock for this award. What a story. From Mr. Irrelevant in the 2020 NFL Draft to his very own Freshie Award. Have a day, Tay.
Hello? Wait, actually? You found it? There's no freaking way. Alright, give me a sec. Dude, someone just found my wallet that I lost in Vegas. What are the freaking odds of that? Alright, I'll be right back.
I mean, after Vegas, it had to be empty. I didn't even know that. Anyway, the show must go on. It's not Springball Boulevard without TPG getting interrupted mid-show, even on the Freshies. But our next honor, gonna celebrate the pass rushers who make quarterbacks feel like a bug on a windshield. This is Quarterback Nightmare. First up, Pita Taumopenu, 9th-year pro out of Utah, continues to make his presence felt in spring football. 7.5 sacks led the league. Also, a couple strip sacks in there, forced fumbles, making the Battlehawks pass rush a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Next up, Chris Odom, 9th-year pro out of Arkansas State. He was a nominee for the same award in last year's Freshies. 5 total sacks to once again assert his dominance over O-lines. He was also a concrete wall in the run game. Led the league's best rushing defense. And Andre Mintz, seems like DC always has that one elite pass rusher. 5th-year pro out of Vanderbilt, broke out in his 3rd year with the Defenders. Snubbed from the All-UFL team with 5.5 sacks, good for top 3 in the league. He terrorized opposing quarterbacks all year. Congratulations to our nominees from St. Louis, Arlington, and DC. And the Freshie Award for Quarterback Nightmare goes to Andre Mintz, defensive end for the DC Defenders. We mentioned the 5.5 sacks. He always seemed to step up, too, against the Battlehawks. Outstanding performance in Week 3. We saw him get to safety in Week 10. Congratulations to Andre and his defensive line coach, Blake Williams.
Dude, can you believe that? I get a call from some random Vegas number, and it's like, hey, is this... You gotta bleep my real name if I say it, but I won't say it. Is this so-and-so? I'm like, hell yeah, it is. And he was like, hey, I found your wallet. I was like, there's no way. And I was like, is there any cash in there still? He's like, unfortunately, no cash. But he was asking me, like, how many credit. He wanted to make sure I'm the right guy. So he was asking me, like, how many cards I had, what kind of cards they were.
You didn't have any cash in it. You blew it all on slots, let's be honest.
Yeah, maybe I did. I blew it all on the craps table, right? The free drinks got to me. But yeah, thank God he found it, because like I've had to Uber to work the last 2 days. That's like that's something hard to like tell your coworkers.
Listen,
like,
you wouldn't be the only one driving without a license in Chicago. I think you'd be fine.
Exactly. I mean, it's probably I could have probably risked it.
Way to be an upstanding citizen, TPJ.
I gotta be here for the show though. Like, how can you expect to? This is a massive week for the show. So if I'm sitting in a holding cell, like, we can't record. So, all right,
what a life.
Back to our regular scheduled programming. Time to present this next award. These are the moments that make bettors pull their hair out of their heads and contemplate never betting again on this league. This is Bad Beat of the year. First up, we have Renegades Moneyline, Week 3 at Birmingham. After controlling the game for the first 58 minutes, the Stallions were faced with a 4th and long. The pass is picked off by a Renegades defender and seems to have put the game on ice, but after further review, one of the Stallions linemen moved early before the snap. Unable to decline the penalty and knee it out, the Stallions attempt another 4th down, which they convert successfully and ended the drive with a touchdown, winning the game 10-9. Up next, we have Renegades plus 2.5, Week 8 at DC. After trailing for the majority of the game, the Renegades find themselves right back in it within the final minutes to take the game to overtime. Already in field goal territory, Luis Perez does his best impersonation of Dan Marino and tries a fake spike. The play couldn't have gone any more poorly executed, as the defense was not fooled one bit, as DeAndre Baker picks off the pass and puts the game on ice. And finally, we have Roughnecks plus 7.5, Week 7 at Birmingham. After leading 25-6 just before the half, the Roughnecks offense comes to a screeching halt in the 3rd and 4th quarters, only producing less than 50 yards of total offense in the second half, allowing for Birmingham to win the game and miraculously cover. All my condolences to the nominees from Arlington and Houston, and the Freshie Award for Bad Beat of the Year goes to Houston Roughnecks plus 7.5, Week 7 at Birmingham. You know, Matt, we could have made this whole all these nominees Arlington Renegades related, but that just would have been flat out mean, and this Houston Roughnecks second half collapse was just too hard to ignore.
Thank you, TPG, and we're going to keep focus on some of the underdogs here, but how about some underdog players, guys who were written off, cut, buried on the depth chart in camp, who against the odds rose up to become household names in UFL 2025. This is most slept on. First up, Toa Tawa, the third-year pro out of Nevada, caddying at the local country club after Michigan cut him in training camp. He was re-signed by the Panthers in Week 3 and never looked back, going on a wild 4-game stretch that saw him score 5 touchdowns, including the walk-off winner against Arlington. What a story. Next is Jamar Smith, the quarterback who has experts and odds makers believing again that Birmingham can complete this tour for 4. The 5th-year pro out of Louisiana Tech quite literally retired from the game back on March 1st after spending the entirety of 2024 as QB3. He started working mornings at Dunkin' Donuts so he could train all afternoon and evening until several injuries at the position forced Skip Holtz to pick up the phone April 25th and talk his old college QB out of retirement. The rest is history. The rally against Houston, a 262-yard, 3-touchdown game on the road at St. Louis, and a 300-yard outing to secure a regular season sweep of Michigan. Absolutely unreal comeback. And last but not least, Jalen McClendon, the 6th-year pro out of Baylor, traded from DC to Houston in the offseason, overlooked, buried on the Roughnecks depth chart as QB3, finally got his shot Week 4 and never looked back, finishing with a winning record of 4-3 as a starter, making you wonder what could have been if he got to go from Week 1. Just an outstanding arm talent, threw for over 200 yards as a starter, 6 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, 200 yards a game that was as a starter, and became the leader the Roughnecks desperately needed. Congratulations to our nominees from Michigan, Birmingham, and Houston. And the Freshie Award for Most Slept On goes to Jamar Smith, quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions. I was personally guilty of sleeping on him myself, and I got to give you credit, TPG. You tried to tell me, quarterback familiarity with an offensive system is undefeated in spring football. Jamar is clear proof of that. And if they do complete the tour for 4 with him in the saddle, can you imagine that documentary? From Dunkin' Donuts, from retirement to a championship, the Ham Newton story. Congratulations to Jamar and his quarterback coach, Skip Holtz.
Only in the UFL can you go from Dunkin' Donuts to UFL champ. And we could probably even go back to last year, Matt, when you were, talking shit about this guy. If anyone has the clip, feel free, send it over to us on Twitter.
I've been wrong before.
I will gladly repost and tag Matt and do all that fun stuff, rub it in his face and do all that. So, moving on. These are the moments that have generated millions and thousands of views and had the comment sections in an absolute frenzy. This is Viral Moment of the Year. After Skip Holtz called interim DC head coach Shannon Harris a doorman, shit was destined to go down in the post-game handshake line. Roll the clip, Matt.
For interim head coach
good job,
Shannon Harris.
You told me at the headquarters. You told me I was a doorman at the headquarters. No, I didn't. No. I told you. Let's go. You told me I was a doorman. No, sir. No, sir. Look at that. You told me I was a doorman. What? Fuck you talking about? You told me I was a doorman. No, I did not. Thanks, guys.
Y'all, I'm here with head coach Shannon Harris. Coach, what are you so fired up about?
It was personal.
Harris famously says, "Get them the fuck off our field," then aggressively confronts Skip about the doorman accusations. Stallions fans and players quickly took to Twitter and called Harris's conduct classless, which sparked up conversation for many weeks to come. Next up, stemming from the previous altercation, I found myself in a beef with Stallions tight end Jay Sternberger.
People's gambler. Based off his mustache, I thought he was just in puberty, and I'm not going to argue with someone under 18.
Imagine talking shit to me when you have 11 motherfuckers coming at you every week. So give me the Renegades in this one.
The Park finds the open man. That's Sternberger. Lost the football. Loose in the end zone, and it's recovered by Arlington.
So, Jace, I gotta ask right off the bat, how does my mustache look?
It's more filled out than I thought.
Finite incantanum. Jace Sternberger, the curse has been removed. After words were exchanged about his previous stat line, Jace was provoked to slander my appearance on a rival show and said, and I quote, "By the look of his mustache, I thought he was under 18, and I'm not going to argue with someone who hasn't hit puberty yet." And this opened up a whole can of worms for Jace as he fumbled the following week on doorstep of the goal line because TPG lives rent-free. And finally, Smack a Mother Samson Nakua slaps a fan after an emotional loss in the Battle Dome. After the game, Samson was reportedly spit on by a fan, which still to this day, we don't have confirmation if it's true, and I think it's clearly false. But regardless, Samson did not take the high road in this situation and delivered a slap that sent shockwaves around the league. Congratulations to our finalists from DC, Birmingham, and Michigan. The winner of Viral Moment of the Year goes to Samson Nakua for smacking a Battlehawks fan and giving him a bruised jaw. 2 million views on Twitter, 3.5 million views on TikTok, and 500,000 views on Instagram. This video popped off on social media, and even Dean Blandino took time to review it from the UFL Command Center.
Yeah, and look, had it been a closed fist punch, then we would have come in and made it a foul from the Command Center. But that was pushing and shoving, open hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? That's the one. That was the viral moment of the year, period, point blank, hands down. I mean, you had people in the replies talking about lawsuits, talking about the end of his career, talking about all this, and it just goes to show you, man, even in the little UFL, people will still overreact. You want to know what really happened to Samson Nakua? He got a slap on the wrist. He got a 1-game suspension. His career's far from over. Nobody cares anymore. Not a single person who was calling for his head, calling for a lawsuit, forgot about it the next day. Welcome to the internet. That was our viral moment of the year. And obviously, at this point, we've honored over a dozen athletes. Now it's time to give our coaches, the old ball coaches, some flowers. This is Coach of the Year. First up, Shannon Harris, forever cementing his legacy as a DC defender, rising from quarterback's coach to interim head coach just a week before UFL 2025 kicked off. He went on to start 3-0, knocking off the defending champs in week 1 and leading his team to an upset win over St. Louis on the road in week 3. Coach Harris has upheld the winning culture Reggie Barlow built over the last 2 seasons and now has DC back in the playoffs. Not too shabby for a first-time head coach. Next up, Anthony begged. He said he felt stuck getting 7 wins. Well, how about 8-2, best record in the UFL? I thought he made a super risky bet moving on from AJ McCarron in the offseason. I personally thought he was crazy, but he trusted his staff, and with the help of a little home field, they are now the current favorites to win the UFL championship. And of course, Skip Holtz, the only coach in the UFL who doubles as a play caller. He seemed lost without GM Zach Potter at times early on, but he found his groove yet again in the home stretch, finishing the back half of the year strong with 4 of their last 5. It hasn't been easy losing all 3 quarterbacks from week 1 to injury, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise with the reunion of Skip and Jamar Smith, just as the football gods intended. Congratulations to our nominees from DC, St. Louis, and Birmingham. And the Freshie Award for Coach of the Year goes to Shannon Harris, head coach of the DC Defenders. An incredible job in his first year taking on this responsibility. Made a statement right off the bat week 1 that he wasn't just some replacement coach. He was going to keep this team in the championship hunt, and as they say in the meeting rooms in DC, maintain the terror. Now a chance to get back to the title game for the second time in 3 years and hopefully win it this time. Congratulations to Coach Harris and the entire Defender staff.
I think a lot of listeners are going to say, oh, Matty Fresh, you're biased. But you know what? I'd have to agree. To take the job over with that short a notice, in your first 3 games, you beat, the Stallions, you beat the Battlehawks. Like, you had some impressive wins early. So, yeah, I'll get behind it. Job well done to Shannon Harris this year. Moving on. These are the reasons why we watch spring football, because it's simply for the excitement and the love of the game. This is Play of the Year. First up, we have Isaiah Henney's kick 6 against the Stallions back in week 5 after Birmingham Stallions special teams coordinator completely mismanages the clock. Skip loses his shit and sends Mevis out anyways to kick the field goal, even though they are out of range. Tide fans, close your eyes, because this play is eerily similar to the ending of the 2013 Iron Bowl as Isaiah Henney takes it back 108 yards just before half.
No, return by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown. Auburn. An answered prayer.
Next up, we have the St. Louis double pass against the Michigan Panthers. Former D3 quarterback Blake Jackson says, I can still spin it like your favorite CD, and finds Hakeem the Dream Butler downfield for a 57-yard game-winning touchdown. And finally, Bryce Perkins proves that he is no average Joe, as he is able to dodge, duck, dive, dip, and dodge his way around the DC defense and finds Cole Hicatini downfield for a 35-yard touchdown. Congratulations to our nominees from Memphis, St. Louis, and Michigan. The winner of Play of the Year goes to Isaiah Henney, wide receiver, Memphis Showboats.
Yeah, what a moment. It synced up perfectly. It's the first thing I thought of, went off in my head. It was so obvious that like people were beating me to it, but they were like more like, hey, add the audio. Someone do it. Like they weren't actually doing it. But yeah, I think that was going through just about everybody's head, especially in the state of Alabama. And it's only right that right after we honor Play of the Year, take that one step further. Let's think about the best games we saw in the UFL. Many said we were off to a slow start, which was probably true, but it rebounded with some incredible quarterback play and offensive fireworks. This is Game of the Year. We start back in week 5, St. Louis 32, Michigan 27. This one had it all. Saturday night, ABC primetime, live from the Battle Dome. Joe Tess losing his absolute marbles, living and dying through every moment with that St. Louis crowd. From Bryce Perkins literally being interviewed after being pulled on the sideline for Danny Etling while Etling threw a pick. to Hakeem Butler's historic homecoming, playing in the Dome for the first time of 2025. He had 2 catches, 124 yards, and 2 scores. Then you had Perkins coming back, the Panthers clawing back into it, but ultimately St. Louis gets it done. Just an awesome game from start to finish. On to week 7, Michigan 25, Arlington 24. Panthers get the ball back with exactly 2 minutes to play, down 6. Bryce Perkins engineers an 11-play touchdown march with plenty of drama, including a hurdle attempt to the end zone and a timeout with 1 second left, giving them just enough time to punch it in with Toa for the score. And they went right back to him for the walk-off winning 1-pointer. This was devastating for the Renegades. Call after call, just not going their way all afternoon. And you just felt, here's the game slipping away from them, as it has time and time again these last 2 seasons. But what a finish in this one. And you might as well fast forward here, Renegade fans, because our next nominee is Week 8. DC 33, Arlington 30. This one featured explosive plays, lead changes, back and forth action. Again, that big game atmosphere on ABC with playoff implications and a very loud DC crowd. Another masterclass here by Joe Tess and Jordan Rogers. This was unfortunately kicked to ESPN2 for NBA Countdown, but that didn't take away from a dramatic finish. Luis Perez trying the fake spike in the final seconds with Arlington at the plus 33 in field goal range. And DeAndre Baker jumps the route, picks it off. I'll never forget that crowd. Audi Field went bonkers. Briley Moore running up to the beer snake, crushing beers. Shannon Harris mosh pitting the beer snake. Just an awesome scene. So congratulations to all our nominees. And the Freshie Award for Game of the Year goes to St. Louis 32, Michigan 27 in Week 5. This checked all the boxes. High scoring, back and forth, incredible crowd, fantastic finish. Can't forget either, it produced our viral moment of the year with Samson Nakua's post-game antics. Just an unforgettable Saturday night in the Lou, TPG.
Yeah, an absolute, very deserving award for that game. And Matt, that was my preseason pick as to who I think is going to be in the championship. So we'll see coming up this weekend. So for my final award of the night, we are here to prove that specialists indeed do matter. This is For the Brand. First up, Hot Rodrigo Blankenship. Respect the specs isn't all for nothing, as this guy has been damn near perfect, going 21 for 22 field goals made this season. And if your NFL team is in need of a kicker this fall, expect this guy to step in and fill that void. Next up, Harrison Money Mevis, the thicker kicker. And yes, Mark Sanchez, this guy is indeed 3 C's thick. Mevis was also damn near perfect on this season, going 20 for 21 field goals attempt. And finally, we have Marquette, all hail the Rap King. The former NFL vet proved that age doesn't matter when he calls his own number against the Showboats and ran for a first down on 4th and 19. In addition, he had the longest punt of the season with 69-yarder. Nice. Congratulations to our nominees, St. Louis, Birmingham, and Arlington. And the Freshie Award for the brand goes to Rodrigo Blankenship, kicker, St. Louis Battlehawks. Rod has been lights out all season and is very deserving of an all UFL award. In addition to having a 95% field goal percentage, he is also tied for the longest field goal of the season at 56. Stay ready, bud, because we might need you to send us to the championship on Saturday night. And what a moment that would be, Matty Fresh. With a trip to go to the championship game on the line, Rodrigo Blankenship sends the Battlehawks to a home UFL championship. Could you believe it? Could you believe the atmosphere in the Dome that evening would, I think blow the roof off?
All I could say is he better wipe off those goggles, because he's going to be seeing red on Sunday night. But for you, TPG, outstanding job tonight. I got to give you some flowers as well. A lot less rattled than you were for your live and in-person debut in the Boulevard last year during the Freshies. I said at the beginning, you came a long way. So toast to you. And now we hate each other again. But
Thank you.
Without further ado, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. We saved the best for last. This is Most Valuable Player. First up, Bryce Perkins, a fifth-year pro out of Virginia. Also a guest on the Boulevard this year. Bryce was a player whose team seemed lost without him at times. In all 4 games the Panthers lost, Bryce was either splitting reps or out completely. Wild to think he was only the full game starter for 3 games. but in those, they were 3-0, and he won 3 Offensive Player of the Week awards. To me, that's value by definition. Again, the numbers he put up in limited action, insane here. 9 touchdown passes, just 2 picks, 70% completion, ran for another 5 scores on 5.7 a carry. I think he broke the record for broken tackles in UFL history. God bless the Birmingham defense if he comes back Sunday, and we fully expect that he will. Next up, Jordan Ta'amu, our Offensive Player of the Year, another leader whose I think team would struggle without him in there. Just a cool, calm, collected presence, comfortable in his 3rd year with the system. I think he shook off a really tough 2024 where he faced a ton of pressure and threw a lot of picks. He bounced back big in 25 and had a season for the ages. 20 total touchdowns in 8 games. Can't say enough about JT's accomplishments this year, and now he has the chance to solidify himself as the best to ever do it in the spring scene, chasing a UFL championship. And last but not least, Justin Hall. Yeah, Justin Hall. You heard that right. I have never been more disappointed in the All-UFL Selection Committee for leaving someone off their list. And this is the 2nd year in a row Justin Hall was snubbed. Last year, you can make the excuse. They were 1-9. Not this year. Hall continued his outstanding levels of production to lead Houston to a 5-5 season, which is nothing short of a miracle considering the way they started. He played every single game, almost every single snap, hauled in a league-leading 62 catches. That's 18 more than the 2nd highest. Top 5 in yards per game. He but he was targeted at least 30% of total passes that Houston threw in 2025. Absolutely insane production from Hall, another guy whose team would be significantly worse without him. Congratulations to our nominees from Michigan, DC, and Houston. And the Freshie Award for Most Valuable Player goes to Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback for the DC Defenders. I mean, truly a historic spring season. What him and this offense have going, shifting identity from a dominant run offense 2 years ago to now being completely unstoppable in the pass game. Gotta thank the big boys up front for protecting him. It's insane when you consider he was only sacked 7 times all year. That has led to this high level of play and a well-deserved MVP award. Congratulations, Jordan. Now let's go win a championship. Closing thoughts, TPG.
Super pumped that we were able to get our boy Jaden Price an award tonight. Congratulations to Jordan. I do agree he is definitely the league MVP. And you know what? I'm happy that we were able to give a Memphis Showboat Award, Isaiah Henney, because the UFL all UFL Selection Committee couldn't nominate a showboat. We have boats bias here, so we didn't leave you out, Memphis. Don't worry, we got you covered.
And as always, the ultimate freshie goes to you, the viewer. The only reason TPG and I do this for free, make all this content for $0, and we don't lock it behind some pathetic paywall, is because of you guys. And it's because of the support that we get on all our platforms. It's because of the interactions that we get to have on the road when we meet you guys in person. It makes it all worth it. I mean, we're literally just a couple of stooges on a spring football show that we try to make informative in an entertaining way. So if that works, thank you so much for watching. And you always remember, there is no such thing as football season. We're back tomorrow night for our playoff preview special, and we'll see you then.